Okay, guys, pray with me. God, thank you for this team. I thank you for just the ministry that you have for us. And I just pray for wisdom, and I pray for knowledge and creativity as we move forward and figure out how to serve our people well. Um, we love you. We thank you that you're in control of this situation and that you've got a plan uh, for how things are going to work out. Um, Bless our time here for the next hour. We ask this in your name. Amen. Okay, so first I want to start off, and I just want to do a quick recap of Tom's email. I know most of you shook your head to say, yes, you did receive Tom's email. For those of you who didn't, I'm just going to make this quick and kind of hit all the different points along the way. So the first thing that he started off by doing was just thanking the team who served last weekend. And I see a lot of you guys on this call who jumped in and who just made that service happen. And so want to thank you guys. That's a big change at the last minute. And you guys, you had a great attitude about it, and you just did a good job or an excellent job of serving our people and making a service still happen, even in the midst of new information and new restrictions coming out really hour by hour there. So thank you all who did that. Moving forward then, for the next 2 weeks for our weekend services, we're going to be doing online services only. So it's going to look the exact same that it did this past weekend. We'll do one service Sunday morning at 10:30 a.m. for the next 2 weekends. This means we won't have a Saturday night service. It won't be in person. It won't be online. We won't have anything on Saturday night. We'll just do Sunday morning, 10:30 a.m., one service streamed online. Now, we're going to go ahead and follow the schedule that we've already put together for personnel. So that means if you're scheduled with the band or with Frontline, the horn section, or camera team, audio, lighting, wherever you may be scheduled, projection, backstage, wherever you're scheduled, we still need you for this weekend. Now, the one thing that we do need to coordinate on is the camera team. I know we schedule out for all 3 hours, and their schedule changes hour to hour, so we do need to coordinate on that. And that's something I'll be reaching out to them on to figure out who's going to do what, who's going to play what role there. But that's what the next 2 weekends are going to look like. Now, we're doing that so that after that time, we can kind of evaluate and see where we are, see what kind of restrictions we have on group gatherings at that point, and really see how the virus progresses at that point. After I say that, and then I say it with this caveat: be prepared for it to be longer. This could be something, and I'm not going to put a time limit on it because we really don't know at this point, but this could become the new normal going into the summer as far as how we're doing our weekend services. You never know. It could be 2 weeks. It could be longer. At this point, we're just trying to read what's happening in the culture and adapt to that. The next point in Tom's email, he said we're suspending all activities at the church building through April 4th. And again, this is really so that we can align ourselves with the restrictions on group gatherings, trying to keep that number as low as possible and really minimize any type of exposure inside our building. So here's how the church staff will minister to you and to the congregation during this time. One, we're going to keep in contact with you through the crisis, through emails, through phone calls. We're going to keep you informed on what's happening in the life of our church. You can count on that. Number two, we are going to serve those who are vulnerable or sick. And I'm going to encourage you guys to do this to the extent that you can participate, helping people who are vulnerable or sick, especially if you're healthy, especially if you're young, and especially if you have no, pre-existing conditions. How do you like that buzzword? As long as you guys have all of all of those characteristics in place, I'm going to encourage you, serve people, serve single people, serve widows and orphans, and those that the Lord tells us are most vulnerable during this time. Really use this as an opportunity to step in and fill that gap. Here in the next section, I'll talk about specific ways FB Maryville can help you do that, but also, I mean, ministry is all around you, and just look at where you can plug in and get plugged in. We're also going to mobilize the healthy to serve those who are in need. We're going to continue to provide worship services weekly to our church family, and we are going to help our church family serve each other. So the next spot in Tom's email, he said, what we need, it was a section called What We Need From You. The first thing is prayer. Prayer for your church family, but also prayer globally. We need to just bathe the entire earth in prayer right now, because this is something that's affecting everyone everywhere. We need healing for those who, especially the cultures that are completely where the healthcare system is completely overwhelmed right now. We need to be praying for them, for Italy and for China. We need to be praying for the United States, that the spread of the disease can be contained so that our healthcare system isn't overwhelmed. These things that you're seeing in the news right now, however politicized they may be, we still need to pray for them. And we need to bathe all of that in prayer, and really just be discerning and wise about how we are ministering to our culture and to our globe right now. Number 2 is so that you can stay up to date with all the updates coming out with the church. Make sure that the church has your preferred contact information. Now, if you're on this call or if you're watching this in a replay, I've got all your contact information, and I'm guessing that it's coming, all the info that I'm sending your way is coming at you guys in a way that's it's coming to you through the channels you want it to come to. If you're not receiving communication from the church, in Tom's email, there was a way, he sent a link to a preferred contact form on our special coronavirus update page on the website. So you can go in and you can supply updated contact info, or if you're getting all the communication, then don't worry about it. You're good there. If for some reason after this call, if you're not receiving the email, if you didn't receive the email I'm talking about here, hang out on the call afterwards, and I'll make sure that I get you connected there. Okay, and number 3 is just stay connected to your small group. If you're already a part of a small group, make sure you're up to date on what they're doing. A lot of small groups are going to be doing this kind of thing right here, where they're connecting digitally in a virtual kind of small group space to continue studying the Word together and continue to pray together and to worship together. So stay connected to that. And if you're not a part of a small group, this is a fantastic time to become a part of a small group. Some of you have lots of extra time on your hands right now, so use that to become a part of a small group. Some of you don't. Some of you have more work than you can possibly handle at the moment. So I understand that, but stay connected to a small group during this time. Okay, so the next section of his email talked about some changes we're doing to the main page on our website. Basically, when you go to fbmaryville.org soon, you're going to see that there are 2 big kind of action buttons on our web page. One says need help and one says give help. If you need help during this time, hit need help. Now, you're connected to the small group that is the worship team. If you need help, you've got my phone number. Text. Just text me. We'll help you out. But if you know of other people who need help and they need assistance in any way, there's a spot there where they can sign in, they can hit need help, and then tell us what their needs are, and we will do everything we possibly can to meet their needs during this time. The section that says give help, if you are in a position where you can give help, go there, click give help, and tell us how you can help out. The other thing we're going to be doing during this time is back at the beginning of, I should say, back in 2019, we started a ministry called Care Calling. And every Monday evening, there's a group of people who get together and they just on a regular basis call everybody in the church and keep up with them and just pray with them and make sure that they stay in touch with what's going on in their life. And during the next week or so, we're going to be calling every single person in our church and connecting with them and finding out, okay, how are you being affected by this? How can we help? Are there any like immediate needs that we can help fulfill in your life? And so if you want to jump in and be a care caller, I think they're going to probably set it up to where you can call remotely if you're at home and you have extra time on your hands and you want to help reach out to people and pray with them and minister to their needs. That's a great opportunity. If you want to get out, if you've got cabin fever and you want to come into the office, for a couple of hours, we've got those opportunities there too. The other thing we have is we have what's called care packs that we're going to be putting together to help out people who are running low on groceries, people who are shut in and just need they need extra attention during this time. So care packs are huge, and those are going to be rolling out here really soon. So another thing to keep in mind during this time is that the ministry of the church, the ministry of our team is continuing. So I'm going to encourage you to continue to give, and I'm going to do that boldly because I'm continuing to give. Kelsey and I are continuing to give during this time. And so I want to encourage you, if you're not signed up with online giving, I know most of you are very tech savvy, so you're probably already doing that anyway. But if you're not, sign up, make sure you're continuing to give, make sure you're continuing to just exercise that spiritual discipline during this time. And that's about it. If you've got kids in any of the Next Gen ministry, preschool kids, students, Tom included some more specific information for those areas in that email. So I'm going to encourage you to go check that out. That's not really something that we're going to cover in the scope of this meeting, but go check that out. If you have any questions, you can always respond there. Okay. So all that does is bring you up to speed on where we are and the communication piece that you've already received. Let me tell you how this is going to affect our team. Okay. Number one, we're going to be canceling the special events we have around Easter. Okay, that includes Monday, Thursday, and our Easter choir concert. So both of those events are going to be canceled. And I, like you, am really bummed out about that because both of those events I was super excited about. However, it's not wise for us during this time to continue that. And we will do something like both of those events again in the future. I don't know exactly what that'll be right now, but we will figure out a way to have a choir concert in the lobby and to do a Monday, Thursday service like we were planning. We'll figure out a way to do that in the future. So your bummed outness, if you're bummed out about that, can be temporary. But we'll channel our bummed outness into something productive, and I'll talk about what this makes possible for us here in a moment. The second thing, how this is going to affect our team, is Easter is going to look a lot different this year. We have the last 24 hours kicked around a lot of ideas as far as what Easter is going to look like, and we haven't landed the plane yet, and mainly because it seems like we would go into a meeting with all of the information that we had on like the number of people who were restricted, numbers of groups who could meet together and those types of details, and we would come out and it would change. And so we're trying to make some decisions once the once the state, I guess, of the culture kind of plateaus a little bit, and we can decide what we're actually able to do as far as Easter is concerned. So stay tuned there. Just know it's going to look different. Yes, we will still have Easter services. Yes, we're still going to celebrate the resurrection of Jesus. That's not canceled this year, just FYI. Um, that's a big one in the church calendar. So we're gonna, we're still gonna do that one. I've already talked to you about weekend services. Just to recap that, we'll be doing online-only services, 10:30 a.m. on Sundays for the next 2 weeks. But as I said, be prepared for that time to be extended if we continue to, receive more restrictions from our governing bodies. The next 2 weeks, I would like to go ahead and have a midweek rehearsal on Wednesday evenings. Now, the reason for that, it's not necessarily so that we have extra rehearsal time, but we are doing some extra things with the online stream to improve the quality of the video and the audio that we're sending out. We're actually going to attempt this weekend to do a custom audio mix for the online stream to make it as high quality of an experience as possible for all of our people. We're also going to be attempting to push our stream to Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and some extra spots. And tomorrow night is going to be huge for testing that out. We've got to have a test run to make sure that we've got everything in place to be able to make that as high quality as possible. So if you're serving this weekend, plan on coming in. We'll do a rehearsal from 6:30 to 7. I'm sorry, 6:30 to 8 o'clock tomorrow evening. This will be a rehearsal. We won't have childcare, and in fact, I'm going to encourage you, or actually, we've asked our staff, we've asked everybody to keep your children out of the building, because one, we don't want them exposed to anything that's floating out in the air right now. But number two, children tend to carry the coronavirus and they don't really catch it, but they have a tendency to carry it. I know my general hand washing technique whenever we're not in the middle of coronavirus. And I tell you what, it has improved dramatically in the last few weeks. But I also know how children tend to wash their hands too. So if you wouldn't mind, please keep your children out of the out of the church for a few weeks, so we can keep everyone as safe as possible. So no childcare on Wednesday evenings. There won't be childcare on Sunday mornings. And I know that's going to affect a few of you. I know Dennis and Julie, that'll affect you guys. And so let's definitely get together and talk about that, because I still want everybody to be able to participate as much as possible. Okay. Where are we here? Okay, so I talked about midweek rehearsal. Okay, what does this make possible? Well, as you know, we're going to be doing a lot of remote stuff, but we're going to stay connected. We're gonna remain connected to one another. We're going to remain connected to the church body, and this team is going to continue to serve our people, to lead them in worship, to teach them about worship, to teach them how to worship in quasi exile here, as we kind of work our way through the COVID-19 chaos. One thing that this is going to make possible that we're going to be doing here hopefully next week is a virtual worship night. We're going to do an online stream worship night for our church family. It's going to be just a camera and a microphone. If you guys have ever seen the NPR Tiny Desk concerts, where it's basically like a microphone in front of a bunch of hippies singing songs, that's kind of what we're going to aim for, minus the hippie part probably. But we're going to aim for something small, something intimate, but something that where your families can gather around and engage with worship, and we can all do this together. We're looking at probably streaming this on Facebook, streaming it on our YouTube channel, streaming it on our website. We've got to test out all of those connections, but I would like for us to offer these worship nights a few times throughout the next 8 weeks here as we go through this. Okay, second thing that this makes possible is we can just absolutely own the weekend services. If you're serving at a weekend service, I'm going to encourage you, pour yourself into this. I know that this is different. It's different that we are doing corporate worship apart. But last weekend we had 850 different devices connected to our stream during the Sunday morning service, which means if not all of those devices had more than one person watching, but some of them had 2, some of them had 10, like there are a lot of people who are tuning in to worship and to be ministered to by you guys. And so just take that opportunity to absolutely own your part. Focus, dig in, and just bring your best to the congregation, to the Lord, during this time. The other thing that this makes...
On that, I was just going to note, if people can share the stream with people, I found that many people I know go to churches that don't have this opportunity, so they're actually just shut down on Sundays. So it's good to kind of reach out. I passed the stream out to a few people that didn't have a service to watch.
Yeah, Matt, that's a really excellent point. Share it on social media if you're on Facebook, which I know a lot of you are, or Twitter or whatever. Great way to share content and just encourage people who are unable to worship during this time. So great point, Matt. The other thing that this makes possible that we're going to present to just serve you guys during this time is a brand new podcast that we're going to release specifically for the worship team. It's going to be about worship, and we're going to use it as an opportunity to just talk about the theology of worship and to talk about what it looks like to have a robust and a growing and a dynamic worship culture at FB Maryville. This is something we're already planning on doing, and actually tomorrow at 10:30, we were planning to record our first episode and push that out and have that guy out to you guys in the next week or so. And we're still going to do that. We're going to have to push our recording off a little bit with some of our new online streaming that we're testing out for this weekend. But we're going to drop that podcast here in the next week so that you guys can start downloading that, and we can grow together and we can think about these things together. I'm going to pull so the podcast is going to be called The Arts, ARTS, The Arts of Worship. And we're going to be talking about what it means to be an artist and how to approach worship through the arts, because that's who you guys are, and that's how we minister to our people. Is we use music, we use the arts to help people love God, love others, and make disciples. And we're going to kick off this first episode by just talking about a holistic definition of what worship is. We'll talk about how the early church viewed that. We're going to talk about how that's kind of grown and developed theologically throughout the history of the church. And then, honestly, this gives us a great opportunity to talk about what does it look like to worship in your own homes. All of you on this call, you guys are all worship leaders in your own homes. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to buy the most disgustingly slim pair of skinny jeans that you can possibly find and put that on and, pick up an acoustic guitar and sing, sing hippie love songs to Jesus. But that does mean that you have responsibility to be the primary source of worship leadership. Yes, worship pajamas. I love it. that does mean that you have the primary responsibility to be the source of leadership whenever it comes to worship in your home. And so we're going to talk about that. And we want to resource you and give you tools that you can use. And and this podcast is a way to give you thought tools too, so that we're thinking about worship together. And we're going to do some practical things like how to set an in-ear monitor mix, we'll talk about some online streaming stuff eventually. And we're going to do some practical things like that. But we also do want to talk about theological issues, because that is the crux of what we do as worship leaders. So the arts of worship, watch for that to drop here in the next week or so. And then the final thing that we've already talked about is this makes it possible for us to connect in small groups. And I want you guys to find small groups to connect in if you're not already doing that. And here's the beautiful thing, like right now, it can look so non-traditional, and it can be so okay for it to be non-traditional. I grew up, my small groups, when I grew up, they were traditional kind of Sunday school class. Everybody went in, you went in for an hour, you did Sunday school, you went to church. That's what small groups looked like. When I was in college, we had small groups that met in homes, and it wasn't just an hour, it was like 3 hours on a Thursday night. And I've met with small groups. I mean, we've done small group studies here with the worship team where we meet via Zoom. I mean, there are so many opportunities, but the thing is, the church, the early church exploded when it was scattered, and we're scattered right now. And we have an opportunity to minister to our culture in a really specific way. Okay, so final thing, I'm going to give you one more thing, and then I'm going to open it up for questions. But I'm really encouraged right now. I don't know if you guys are, what you're experiencing, if you're experiencing anxiety, if you're experiencing fear, confusion, or just like elation because you've got, the next 6 weeks off. I don't know what you're experiencing right now, but I want to tell you why I'm really encouraged. Okay? Number one reason I'm really encouraged, as I've sat back and watched everything unfold the last 5 days, I've been overwhelmed by the abundance that we get to experience, not only in our culture, but in our faith community that we're a part of. I'm overwhelmed that last weekend we had services and we didn't miss a beat. We've been resourced so abundantly by the Lord. And not only our physical resources, but just the abundance of love and service that you guys pour out to our church and our team is overwhelming. And God has blessed you. You have been a blessing to us. And we truly are a special and unique community. And I want you to feel the weight of what it is to be a part of that community, and what it is to be a part of just a group of people who love and serve the Lord that way, and a group of people who the Lord really does have his hand on us and what we're doing. And so I want you to feel that abundance, and I want you to feel the weight of that. But it's been incredible to just sit back and watch it all. The other thing that I'm really encouraged is this opens up an opportunity for us to Sabbath. We're scaling back our work on the weekends, and I think this is going to give us an opportunity to Sabbath. Our culture, and I'm talking about us being Americans in 2020, our culture worships busyness, and we pretend like we're victims of busyness, but really it's an idol for us. And we have been given an incredible gift by the Lord to Sabbath right now. Now, I know that some of you, this has not affected your schedule at all. I know that your work schedule may have even ramped up just to meet the extra demands that have been put on you. But I think for all of us, we're getting a really special and unique opportunity to just rest in the Lord, and to rest in the relationships that he's given us, and to truly find out what it means to have an unhurried existence. So I hope you take advantage of that. I'm really encouraged by that as well. Um, this one I've already mentioned. The early church exploded when it scattered. And then here's the final reason I'm encouraged is we have an opportunity to be salt and light in our culture. I don't want you to be a reactionary agent during this time. I want you to make your corner of the world look like Jesus, molded into his image. God has not called us in to be to look like everyone else in the culture during this time. He's not called us to um, what am I trying to say? He's not called us to hysteria. He's not called us to fear and anxiety. Um, he's called us to be light during this time, and so I want to encourage that in you, and I want to do whatever it takes to help you do that effectively. So that is that's the extent of what I have to share with you guys tonight, and I know you've all probably got a lot of questions, and so the next however long you guys want to stay on, I'm here, and I want to take any questions that you may have.
So, Matt, what's the extent of the amount of people that we're wanting to have for a service, to try to limit numbers? Are we like trying to cut down to like one camera operator, or I guess what's kind of guidance there?
Sure. So what I'd really like to do is I'd like to the camera team is one area where I would like to not skimp. In fact, I'd like to make sure that we have every position well staffed there, just because that's crucial to getting our content out online. And so I'd like to have a hard cam operator. I'd like to have a roamer cam operator. I'd love for at least two people to be up in the booth, one switching and doing PTZs and one directing. Um, and so if we can have that for every weekend, I'm going to feel really comfortable about that. Now, one of our restrictions really are right now, um, the president is encouraging people to meet in groups of 10 or smaller. Obviously, to produce a weekend service, we're going to need a little more than a group of 10, and I think that's understandable. But we're just going to limit, I guess, our contact with one another. We'll practice good, healthy social distancing. We'll make sure that that other than the people in the booth, we'll try not to stay in too many confined places. And so that's the extent of what we're going to do. I will say this for the weekend services. I'm going to ask the choir not to come in to participate with that. And I may even, and I need to get with Dennis and talk about this, but I may even talk to him about limiting the horn section a little bit, maybe having them take turns on the weekends that they end up doing. So that's what we're planning right now, Matt.
Hey, Matt, I'd like to offer my camera for the weekends. No kids, and available. I have no commitments.
Oh, awesome. Thank you, Gene.
Yeah, all three services, whatever you need.
Well, you do one, so don't show up too early. Get to sleep in.
Yeah, and hey guys, team for this weekend, I'll get with you about what time we're going to meet up on Sunday. Since we're doing a Wednesday night rehearsal, we obviously won't need to be there terribly early. So we'll talk about that Wednesday night at rehearsal, and I'll make sure everyone gets communicated with there. Other questions?
Matt, can you hear me?
Oh,
Yes,
sorry.
I can. Elizabeth, go for it. Elizabeth, go for it, and then Randy, I'll jump over to you.
Sorry, I joined kind of late.
You're fine.
Did you say we're still having Wednesday rehearsal?
So what we're going to do, Elizabeth, is we're going to do rehearsal for Sunday services the next 2 Wednesdays. The next 2 Sundays we're going to stream online, and then we're going to determine at that point if we continue to stream online or if we go to a different format. So for the next 2 Wednesday nights, we are going to have midweek rehearsal, but the choir concert is canceled
Okay.
for April 5th, and so we will not have a choir concert on Wednesday night. Good question.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah, Randy, go for it.
You were talking about other ways to distribute the service. What about Chromecast? Is that possible?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think that is possible. So that is a little that's a little outside of my range of expertise right now. And so what I'm working on for this weekend is getting us stable on Facebook and YouTube, because I think that's going to be huge for catching a lot of people where they already are. But for the next weekend, we're going to aim at having everything up and going for those who are using Apple TV, Chromecast, Roku, those type of streaming platforms. Right now, I mean, if you're using Apple TV, I've never used Chromecast before, but like Apple TV, Roku, they all have a YouTube app. And so you could technically just hop on the YouTube app, go to the FBM Worship YouTube channel and watch us live there.
You can push it from your computer to all those platforms right now too with the current service. Okay. So that's what we do. We do at home. We just push it from a computer to like our Apple TV in that case. But the new streaming service we're trying out, they do have an app that you can trial as well if that's something we want to try out. But
yeah,
good. I've been watching the last few weeks on my iPad, and I could also cast that if that was available. So that'd be great. I hope to be back after my eye surgery and stuff, maybe in a couple weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great.
Can't wait to jump in and help.
Yeah. I'm excited to have you back, Randy. You always do a great job. With the, I'll say one other thing about online streaming too. We're looking at, so we use a company called Subsplash. They are the developers who put together our app, the FB Maryville app. Whenever they developed that app, and we've probably had it 3 or 4 years now, they did not support streaming to like smart TV, type of services like Apple TV, Roku, things like that. We think that there's a possibility they may support that now. So Sean Cozart, who is our IT specialist on staff, he's actually going to be working with them tomorrow to see if that's something we can integrate. And if that is, that's going to be our easiest solution. We'll just push the content through the FB Maryville app, and then you can just access that, which you can already access that app on the on those platforms. You can't access the stream. It's just pre-recorded services that are available there. Great questions. Who's next?
Hey, Matt.
Yeah, Brendan.
So just to clarify for tomorrow night's rehearsal, as far as production goes, who all are you expecting to be there tomorrow night from production side?
Yeah. So I'd like the band to come in. Audio. Steve, I believe you're on audio. So I'll have you come in. I would say camera team, if any of you are available and you want to come in just to run a few shots, I'm going to be back in the studio tomorrow night testing our stream on Facebook Live and YouTube Live, and also getting a mix on the audio signal that we're going to be routing multi-track audio to the stream so that we actually have a professional sounding mix for the web. So I'm going to be doing all of those things tomorrow night. If you want to come in, set up a few shots and just kind of practice, you're more than welcome to do that. No pressure there, because I know that this shutdown is affecting everyone a lot differently. So just if you can come in, hit me up, let me know. If you can't, no big deal. I'll just turn on the system and point a camera at the stage, and we'll go from there. Any other questions? Gene, are you talking about time for rehearsal? So rehearsal time tomorrow night is 6:30 to 8 p.m. Good question. Anybody else? Anybody want a peanut?
And then there was dead air.
That's right. All right. Well, hey guys, I appreciate you hopping on. I'm excited for the next whatever this brings us. Tom started we had kind of an emergency meeting yesterday afternoon to get our bearings, and he kicked off that meeting by saying, um, "This is a new day. This is whatever you had planned for ministry. Throw away the playbook because we've got a new assignment." And it's true. We do have a new assignment from a tactical standpoint, but from a missional standpoint, it's still the same. And so I hope that you find a lot of meaning in that and a lot of excitement. And let me just reiterate to you guys, whatever you need during this time, we're here for you. All your staff, we're here for you. Your team leaders, we're here for you guys. Let us know how we can support you. If you're sick and you need help, don't be sick alone. Hit us up. If you're hungry, if you run out of food, whatever it is, I know that we're talking extremes here, but we really are here for you. And however we can pray, post that in the Facebook group or send us emails. Just let us know. We want to care for you and take care of you guys during this time. All right. Okie dokie. Well, I'm signing off. Good night and good luck. Take it easy, guys.
Good night.
See ya.